Certainly, my name is Evelyn Brooks. I'm running for Texas governor. Why am I running? I'm running for our children, Gen Z, the future generation of Texas citizens. My why is to restore the public education system, restore trust, restore morality, restore self-government, limited government, restore strong families. So I guess you can say I'm here to liberate not only our freedom to fight for it, but also to restore what has been broken. The beautiful thing about our forefathers is that they left us the blueprint of how to preserve our freedom, and that's the Constitution. So we have the United States Constitution, and we also have the Texas State Constitution. Not only do we have that, but we also have principles that the Republican Party stands on, which are the principles of freedom. And as such, we need to follow the law in order to preserve our freedom from foreign invasion, because Sharia law goes against our constitutional law and order, and that has to flee. So what would I do? The thing that I would do would probably not be popular with the group that's already been given the land, but we need to follow the law. And it's not that we're being unwelcoming to the group of people. We're being unwelcoming to the Sharia law, which goes against our constitutional law.
To their ideologue.
That's it. The only thing that our state government can do right now is give us back our freedom to govern ourselves. We have given them the assignment to safeguard and protect the Constitution, not to take control of our lives and not to make decisions for our lives. So yes, we can take back control from the federal government, but if it goes into the state government's hands, we're still in trouble. So we need to give the power back to the people, because that is what's missing. Our legislative branch, our even our executive branch, our judicial branch, they're making and passing unconstitutional laws. They're making unauthorized constitutional decisions, and they're not safeguarding our Constitution. So in response to that, the people need to self-govern ourselves. We can make choices and decisions for ourselves. We know how to solve our problems. We just need a government, a state government that's not a bully and that does not want to police our lives. You know what I was hoping for? I was hoping to see more leadership protecting our freedoms. Every party has a responsibility to preserve and defend that Constitution, to protect it and enforce it. The problem is they're not enforcing the Constitution, and not only are they not enforcing it, but again, we still keep seeing unauthorized constitutional laws being passed. So I unfortunately see a problem with both parties just not upholding that protection alone. Of course, the last 4 years did not help us either. So not only do we have this invasion, but did our leaders do enough to prevent it? Did our leaders do enough to fight against it? Did our leaders do enough to say, this is Texas, and this is the way we do things in Texas? HSB 2, the school voucher. I would not have passed that. I would have not passed. Forgive me, the number leaves me, but it's a 133-page document that totally reforms education and gives the power essentially to the Commissioner of Education, leaving us really powerless on the board to really make effective changes and outcomes for our students. So what would I have vetoed? I would have vetoed school choice, because we have school choice, but this is not about school choice. This is about actually taking away our freedom to choose what we teach our children, how we teach our children, what accountability system we use, and what instructional materials. This is a $3 billion plus law that has been passed that only rescues 100,000 students. Now, if I'm a student in the inner city, I for one thing have a transportation problem. How will I be able to take my child to a private school? And how will I be able to compensate for the rest of the remaining balance? How will I be able to make sure they have their uniform and that they have all their activity fees? We have an obligation and a duty to our students to give them a public education where they can access reading, writing, math, science, history, to compete against the world with students around the world, and we're not doing that at minimum. So those are strings attached. That was a strings attached bill where now we have the friendliest homeschool laws here in the state of Texas. Now that's compromised. What if this gets expanded because it's universal education? We've seen it happen in Brazil. We've seen it happen and that is my time. Absolutely. So let's talk about this pay raise that teachers are getting. Essentially, teachers are getting a pay raise if they follow along to get along. So essentially, you cannot earn your increase, which is really not a lot to live off to begin with. And now you have to do XYZ just in order to get your promotion, your money. And not only that, when because you said a lot of things in there, ESAs, your probability, the likeliness of someone being struck by lightning lightning twice or 3 times or 4 times, or even winning the lottery are greater than their child being selected for this. So you have a money grab in this position. When I asked the elected leaders who passed this legislation, how is this directly going to impact and improve reading scores and writing scores and math scores and science and history, they couldn't even answer that. You know why? Because they're leaving the 5.4 million school children behind. Nothing happens in our school system that is not mandated by legislation. Nothing. So legislation has allowed the laws to allow our schools to inflict this students essentially with what we're seeing today. It's all mandated. So what has to change? We need to repeal those laws. We have to repeal the laws, give our teachers back autonomy, give our schools back to the local communities, because that was what the founders realized here. Give the responsibility to the parents, to the community when it comes to educating their children. The parents, not the state, know how best their children learn. They love their children more than anything. And so this bill overrides our true choices, leaving kids on devices, leaving kids on the same destructive path.
All right, sorry. Later, and that Congress paid U.S. soldiers to scalp Indians. Did you vote for this? And please explain your vote.
Sure, that is misinformation. Did I vote for it? I voted for it after my 4th time of turning it down. You know why? Because the standards were not up to par. Now, as far as the ethnic studies is concerned, I believe that all the ethnic studies courses should be taught in our U.S. history course as it happens in history, because collectively together we make up this beautiful fabric called America. We all have made contributions, all the people groups of this great country, and students should see that and see that from a perspective of everyone's contribution. So how so we had this? The misconception is those 2 items that you referred to were not in these TEKS, anywhere in the TEKS. Now the materials, there were some online materials, there were some websites that students were given. This is called an innovative course, which means the laws protect innovative courses differently. This was legislated again. So an innovative course works differently from a TEKS-based course that the state board would write and pass those standards. So it went around that in order to get these TEKS written by an outside source. But again, in my committee, I denied it 3 times before I accepted it, and I was specific about what was missing. Now, as far as the public seeing it, the public does not have to see an innovative course TEKS. That's another problem, and that is a problem that I have been talking to our chair. Those TEKS should also be listed online so that the public can see them. Right now, it's not listed in statute or in our rulings. However, it should be allowed for students to see, for parents to see. So in short, those 2 things that you talked about, Indians being scalped, the whole board or the majority of the board said we are not going to use these recommended materials, and that is how the board viewed this, agreed on this. We said you cannot teach using those materials, but the TEKS stood.